I don't know, something happened, and I'm thinking that we had 2 on Trap Soul.
Gotcha.
Then the album comes out, and it's not, the second record's not on
on
there.
it. Okay.
So I'm like, all right, cool. Dang, I wish we had 2 on there, but whatever. Now, mind you, I still ain't heard the record.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it sounds like. One day, like 2-3 months later, I get a text from Neil. Shout out to Neil, Bryson's manager. And it's Bryson. He's in the office with Mark Pitts.
Okay.
And so I put a video up. I'm looking. So I hear Chris Brown. So I'm thinking, like, why you sending this to me? Like, Bryson's sitting there listening to the record. And I listen, like, closer. I'm like, oh, shoot, that's the beat. So I just put 2 and 2 together that, okay, bro wrote something to it.
Nice.
And then gave it to Chris. And ended up going on a royalty album.
Wow.
So.
Can we talk? Oh, can we talk? Can we talk? R&B.
What's up? What's up? It's your boy Ian Vaughn, and we are here again for another episode of the Can We Talk R&B podcast. So I have a continuous question: can we actually talk R&B? Listen, I have a special guest today, and when I think about all of the dopest producers of the culture in the past, I would say 10 years. It's no way possible in R&B music or in hip hop that you cannot give reference to this guy. I'm just gonna say, hold up, hold up. I got my man Keyz in the building.
What's
Thank
up,
you
brother?
for joining
What's
us,
good,
baby.
man? You good?
Yeah.
This is an honor, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for coming. And I don't want to touch on this too long, but I know how I first found out about you.
Right.
Is obviously I'm hearing these records. So
Right.
the music is speaking for you, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm hearing all these hit records, and years back, and all I'm hearing is "Hold Up, Come on the Track," and I'm hearing people say, "Oh, that's Ayo and Keyz,"
Right.
and I'm like, "Hey, okay, them cats tough." Next thing you know, it was not. Y'all owned the radio for a few years. You know what I'm saying? It was, if it wasn't you guys, it was Hitmaker. If it wasn't Hitmaker, it was you guys, and then some of it was both of y'all on the same record.
Absolutely.
So big shout out to what you've done in terms of being a culture pusher and keeping R&B alive. I mean, obviously you guys have made a lot of impact in hip hop as well.
Absolutely.
But thank you for just contributing in the way that you have. And I just want to get into like why R&B? Like what made you? Like what started you off into R&B?
Yeah, man. I mean, R&B has always been my heart, man. I grew up in church, pastor's kid.
Oh, nice.
You know what I'm saying? And like, learning, I played the drums and I played the organ and the keys and, but then I got introduced to R&B music, and it just, the way it made me feel was like just different, and the chords, I'm like, wait, these are the same chords I play in church and like I'm hearing in church, and it just gave me a whole different feel, man, and vibe, and I'm like, R&B is just what it is, you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
I think one of the first records I really heard, like, and paid attention to, I was like in 5th grade on the bus, was Carl Thomas, Where I Want to Be. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's Donald Jones.
Oh, Donald Jones.
Yeah,
I'm
my
sorry.
bad.
Yeah. So like, just hearing that and hearing the chords, I'm like, oh man, like, I want to do this.
I thought you was about to say Carl Thomas emotional. I was about to say.
All them records, around the same time. You know what I mean? But specifically that one, I'm like, I want to do that. You know what I mean?
This is. I remember that album. That Donald Jones "Where I Want to Be" album was very impactful to me too. I want to say '99.
Yeah.
That album came out.
Right.
Somewhere around that time, and R&B music is like a time capsule to me, right? I mean, all music does this in a way, but it takes me back to the exact time, the car I was driving, the girl I was riding with, who I was trying to holler at the time, or whatever. And I think about how R&B has impacted me in that way.
Absolutely.
So I understand that being an influence. So as a church kid, so you're a PK, they call it, a preacher's kid. This is where you learned your chops.
Yeah, for sure. All day long, just church. You know what I'm saying? Church has the best musicians in the world. No question. Like, everybody who comes from church are like amazing musicians, singers, whatever. Like, whatever you want to do, whatever you do, you start from church, you going crazy. You know what I mean?
And mainly, is that, well, I know, I would say it's because you get a chance to practice. You're being almost forced to practice. You got choir rehearsal.
Absolutely.
You got Sunday service. It's like a concert.
Absolutely.
Every Sunday you got to be prepared.
You got to be prepared. And like, even in church, like, it's so much nothing's playing. Like,
Yeah.
you know, as far as the church that we will rehearse the choir songs, but it might be somebody testimonial service. They singing a song that you ain't never heard before. You gotta figure it out. It just sharpens your ear.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or even as a drummer or singer, you just gotta figure it out in the spot, man. So that's like
No,
where I
absolutely.
come from. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
So, what got you into the music business? Preacher's kid, you playing, you making this noise. Like, what got you to the music business?
So man, I was heavy in sports, like in high school, playing basketball, football, and I just literally had I don't know, God just smacked me in my face, like, bro, you're not going to the league. You know what I mean?
As you play with basketball and football?
And football, you know what I mean? I really love football, but on the weekends, I'm gigging.
Look, you ain't short. When you walked in, I was
Right.
okay, you ain't short. A lot of guys, not to cut you off, I just have to say this. For me, I'm 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
So I used to always think, man, maybe one of the reasons why I ain't like getting on is because I'm too tall.
Right,
Like,
right.
Everybody, like, you know, not dissing the short guys, but I mean, I met Tank. I think Tank's like 5'9".
Right.
I never met Usher, but I think Usher's a little shorter than that.
We all right there.
Yeah,
A little
yeah,
5'9" pocket.
Yeah, gotcha.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
I
yeah.
love it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, man, I was like, yo, I'm not going to the league, man. At the same time, I was gigging all over, you know, Buffalo where I'm from, and playing at 5 different churches on Sunday. I'm, you know, gigging and rehearsals and all that. So music was my love. And so I just made a decision, like, yo, I want to produce music, man.
Yeah.
Like, so I got my first little program, which was Reasons at the time.
Reasons, yeah.
I started fooling around with that and GarageBand and bouncing back and forth, and like just really started dialing in. I like the fact that I could create from scratch.
Yeah.
And I always said, like, as a musician, I wanted people to play my records.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that was like the driving force for
Right.
it.
Right. So in terms of getting to the music business, I mean, you built these chops. I mean, how did that happen? Like, were you producing for independent artists? Were you like, how that?
So
that
what happened
journey
was I decided to go to school. So I graduated from the Arts in an Institute of Atlanta.
Gotcha.
I went to another school for a year, first called Atlanta Institute of Music.
Okay.
And then I transferred to the Art Institute of Atlanta.
Gotcha.
So I got my bachelor's from there, but you know, as I was in school, I just was connecting with people and networking and going to school and going to the studio, and like literally I tell people all the time, it was just my network. Like people were just introducing me to other people, and that literally got me into like the rooms with like Sick Pen and like Polo and Jasper and all these guys, and it just literally records just started forming, relationships. And
So you talking about Polo the Don?
Polo the Don, yeah, shout out to Big Bro.
Big
you know
Bro,
what I'm saying?
Nice,
yeah,
nice. Shout out to Polo.
Yeah, B
Yeah.
Cox, like literally, man, I can't take credit. Like if it wasn't nothing special I was doing, just they were hearing what I was capable of doing. I was just getting in rooms. You know
So
what I
were
mean?
you? I can talk about for myself what I used to do to get access to these producers, artists, whomever. When I would travel around in different cities, I make sure I book a studio, right? So I'm like, I may buy for the day, and I'm like, I'm in there working on demos, whatever I'm doing, and a lot of times, you know, dope producers or other artists would just peek in,
Coming through,
I'm like,
right.
who are you?
Right.
You sound good. You got a dope voice. I'm like, okay, what you working on? Oh, producer I'm working with. I'm sending some demos off, blah, blah, blah. And I would build a network that way.
Absolutely.
You know, so I remember coming to Atlanta. I remember booking out. I was Stankonia. I remember doing Dope Doppler. And what was it? Patchwork back in the day. I would go to being in Orlando. I used to be at Plush Studios.
Plush, yeah, Big Plush.
Yeah, and just different cities in LA, East, West.
Yeah.
So I would grab these dope studios, and then
Wow.
you would mess around, and you know. The people
bump
that you
into
want, the
somebody.
people that you want to work with are in there. Gotcha.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, that's literally what it was for me, man. Just building that network and getting in these rooms and people believing in you. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? So I'm grateful, bro.
No,
I'm
absolutely. So now that you're getting access, you got B Cox, relationship, Polo. Is that I guess artists are coming to them and you getting an opportunity to produce with them?
Absolutely. That's literally what it was. Like, I was just like the background guy. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? Like, even when I was working with Polo had such a major influence in me as a producer. Literally, he was like, yo, he'll leave me in the studio, come up with an idea. He'll bring God knows who, any artist you could think of, 3 o'clock in the night, at night, they hearing my idea. He'll be like, all right, cool, let me format this, put some drums on it, woo,
Yeah,
woo.
yeah, yeah.
And then it's off to the races. So he showed me how to produce. You know what I mean? Because at first I wasn't a drum guy. I was only just melody, keys and chords and leads.
Yeah.
And he showed me like really how to
format that
song. And so now it's like I don't even do melodies no more. I got a bunch of guys who send me stuff. I'll be doing the drums and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy just how it flipped, but I owe that to Polo.
So explain that. I've talked about that a little bit. Maybe you can add your take on that. You have a lot of guys who are beat makers.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have guys who are producers.
Yeah, two different things.
Two different. Explain that.
Completely different, man. Because beat makers is just like you have the idea, but the producer like brings it all the way to life.
To life.
You know what I mean? Like even something as simple as like just the format of the song, or like switching up the bridge and putting it to the pre-hook and like, you know what I mean? And then even when it comes to like writing the song and the writers that they put in the room to make sure this record gets to
it's the strongest.
You know what I'm saying? Like real producers like myself, like I know just off the beat what writer I need. You know what I'm saying? Beat makers, they can't.
Right, they just make a bunch of tracks.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, and I'm not hating on beat makers because I love what they do. But I hear a lot of times beat makers, I produced this record.
Nah, you ain't producing.
And I'm like, you made the track.
You
You may be a co-writer.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you had the idea. I'll never take that from you. You sparked the inspiration.
Absolutely.
But we brought it home.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? That's why
right.
I shout out to Hitmaker. Because he's so phenomenal at that. He knows exactly who to put in a room, what beats to choose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even beat makers, I see beat makers come in the studio, they just playing tracks. They don't even understand the vibe, what's going on, the energy in the room.
Yeah.
And it's like, when I come in the room, I could just see, okay, let me play this.
Yeah.
Oh, load it up, let's go. You know what I mean?
And also being an actual musician.
Musician too, takes it
to another level.
Yeah, for sure.
I know as a songwriter, when guys would give me tracks, and the track is already overly produced.
Right.
And I'm like, I got to try to fit in this space.
Absolutely.
And it limits what I'm able to do versus someone like yourself, even if it's a drum pattern or even if it's just pads, no drums. I got all the room to do what I want to do. I send that back and then you bring that home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Create from that. And that's like my specialty. Like I love keeping the track as open as possible. You know what I'm saying? All these tricks and 808s and all that, it's just messing up the, you know what I mean?
It restricts the writer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it restricts the writer.
Because like I said, I understand melody first.
Right.
So I know what singers and artists need to do in their space.
That's
you know
right.
What I mean?
It's almost like having a box and then now all the doors are closed.
Absolutely.
So now I can only go in here versus having an open field to just go wherever I want to go. And then a real producer knows how to, now that we got all these elements, now we can bring it together.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
That's a fact.
What was the first record that made you feel like, okay, I'm in the game, I'm doing this now?
Yeah, so it was my first placement, Omarion, Let's Talk, featuring Rick Ross.
Nice.
So this is like, I don't know if you remember when, Ross had already had Maybach Music, but this is when he did a press conference. He signed Wale,
I do remember
Omarion, Meek Mill.
Yep.
And I remember, man, the
When
record.
is this, 2010?
This is 2011.
11?
Yeah.
I remember this specifically. Okay.
Yeah, 2011, 2012. And so, mind you, I'm in school.
Yeah.
The record had been in motion. Me and Ayo had did it. Shout out to Chris Eccles, because he wrote the record.
Okay.
And it's so crazy, bro, because I was going through like a little pocket. I was going through a little time. You know what I mean? I had moved to Atlanta in 2010. And like, I was just like depressed, kind of. You know what I mean? I was in school. I was broke.
Yeah.
And I remember like that following year, I went home. I was working at Comcast.
Okay.
I ain't never been able to keep a job.
Yeah.
More than like a month. Like, so I'm working at Comcast for like a month.
Yeah.
In September, I'll never forget it. By November, I had quit and went back home.
Nice.
And I'm like, man, I don't know, bro. Like, I was just so hard on myself. I was young. I didn't know what was coming or whatever. Yeah. And so I went home for like 2 months. While I was home.
Home
is Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York.
716.
Gotcha.
I went home and we had already did the beat, and then Chris sends over the demo for Let's Talk. And I was like, okay, I can do this.
Nice.
You know what I mean? It wasn't even placed, nothing.
Yeah.
A couple months later, we found out Mario cut it. First time I hear it, I'm just tuned into, in school, I'm at school, I'm tuned into
just what's going on.
The press conference they was having.
Yeah.
They bring Omarion out and they play the record.
Nice.
Find out it's his first single. It was on 106 and Park #1. I'm leaving school. It's on the radio. Like, it was crazy. So that was my first record, and that showed me like, yo, bro, you could really do this.
Did you make any money from that record?
I didn't make as much as I thought I was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know about the
business in that regard.
The business. So what Chris did was he added the Biggie sample in it. I don't know if you heard the record, but
I remember
the Biggie sample in it. So
that took a significant.
It had
portion.
Biggie on there, had Salt and Pepper, because I think Biggie sampled Salt and Pepper
Yep.
and all this. So my percentage on I didn't understand it.
Sure.
So 6 months later, I'm looking at and getting ready for my BMI check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's up. Like, I'm about to go crazy. I'm like, what's this?
And it's buzzed down.
You know what I mean? So that's when I really started paying attention to the game and understanding samples and what it was and all that good stuff.
That's interesting that you say that. As a producer, as a musician, and we talk about samples. Again, a lot of beat makers, they'll just sample something right quick. I mean, whatever. And a lot of producers do it too because it can make a song dope. But from the business side, how does that affect the money?
It don't make sense, especially when you get to a place like in the latter part of your career, and you're dealing with like what your catalog is worth and selling it and all that, and it's like, yo, you got all these samples and all these things that you had to chop down with all these people. We used it as a tool to ride a wave.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But we also knew that we didn't need it.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And then it's like at a place where I'm not, like now, I refuse to use any samples. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, it's bigger than me. I got kids. I want them to, you know what I mean? Really benefit from my work, man. So I say be smart with it. You know what I mean? Like whatever you got going on, you can win with it, but you don't always have to use it. You know what I'm saying?
But you also can pivot like because you can play, or even if you didn't play as a producer, you could pull in some other musicians to play different parts for you that can be similar. Different derivative, like a different way to play it. It don't have to be as big, still have the same feel, and you don't actually have to sample it.
And that's the key part, bro, is like, we gotta get back to the feel.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, Teddy Riley and Jimmy and
Terry Lewis, for
like,
sure.
they had feel. They didn't sample nobody. It's like, I feel like the culture now, producers, like, we just getting away from that feel.
Lazy.
And we can create the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
we
right.
gotta tap in.
That's right.
We like just using the cheat code. You
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying? It's like, we cheating. You know what I mean? It's cool, it sound good, but like, at this point, I'm tired of flips. I want to hear something new.
That's
fresh.
right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
we on the same page.
Absolutely.
Going from that Omarion record, now you like, okay, I got a taste of it. I'm getting some royalty checks. What can I do to take this to the next level? Like, what was the next record that was like?
The next one I did was around this time I got with Polo.
Okay.
And so he helped me with I co-produced a record called I've Been Knowing for Beyonce. He was working on that. Shout out to Low and Rock City and all the guys. So he was working on that. I'll never forget. He called me at 6 o'clock in the morning and told me to get up, come to the studio. So I assisted with that. And then we did another record called what is it called? Wickedest Style. It's Sean Paul featuring Icky.
Nice.
And so that record ended up, that album ended up getting Grammy nominated. So I got my first Grammy nomination. So I was just moving. I was just starting to build.
You feeling the
know what I mean?
validation.
I'm feeling the validation.
Yeah.
I'm feeling you know what I mean? Like the leveling up. I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? So after that, I just started rolling.
It's got a snowball.
Yeah.
What I know you did Chris Brown's Proof.
Yes.
What was that? Was that on the royalty
album? That was like the one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think even to this day, like every producer, we have targets. You know what I'm saying? So even at that time, and this is like before Chris was doing like the 30, 40 song album. To get on Chris, it really, it still do.
It still
Shout out
does,
to
for
Chris.
sure, for
But
sure.
at that time when bro was doing that, it was big, man.
Yeah.
And so even before that, we were on the Bryson Tiller album. And then, so I'll get into the story about Proof. We were working with Bryson, and this is like when Dope came out.
Yeah.
Was prior to Trap Soul. Trap Soul didn't come out yet.
Right.
building with Bryson on Twitter.
What year is this? This is like 15?
2015.
Yep.
Yeah, 2015. Talking to Bryson on Twitter, we going back and forth, like FaceTimes, all good. And so we building, and so I knew we had one already on the album, on Trap Soul coming out. But at the same time, we didn't know, well, I didn't know how big Bryson was going to be. Because he came in and just shut the game down during that time period. But I had this sample, man, on my laptop, bro. It was sitting there at least 6 months. And I'm like, man, I'll get to it. It was the My Heart Belongs to You, Jody C sample. Yeah, but the intro part, I don't even know how.
I know what you're talking about.
I don't even know how I got it, bro, because I didn't chop it up. I got it from somebody.
Shout out to Devontae Sweet.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Bro, it was sitting on my laptop for like 6 months, bro, and I'm like, I'll get to it, man. I'll get to it. One day I get up, I knock it out, and I'm like, okay, this jamming. So I hit Bryson right away. I'm like, yo, bro, you know me, check your email. So he checks it, I guess, and I guess he did something. I didn't know nothing about this.
I know
Yeah. So I don't know, something happened, and I'm thinking that we had 2 on Trap Soul.
Gotcha.
Then the album comes out, and it's not, the second record's not on there.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, cool. Dang, you know, I wish we had 2 on there, but whatever. Now, mind you, I still ain't heard the record.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it sounds like. One day, like 2-3 months later, I get a text from Neil. Shout out to Neil, Bryson's manager. And it's Bryson. He's in the office with Mark Pitts.
Okay.
And so I put a video up. I'm looking. So I hear Chris Brown. So I'm thinking, like, why you sending this to me? Like, Bryson's sitting there listening to the record. And I listen, like, closer. I'm like, oh, shoot, that's the beat. So I just put 2 and 2 together that, okay, bro wrote something to it. Nice. And he gave it to Chris. And ended up going on a royalty album.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was pretty cool, man.
Those are 2, first of all, to have a Trap Soul placement, because that album was special.
Yes.
And then royalty. I know, like, my favorite song, at least, well, I love the Trap Soul album, but the one that I really like that a lot of people slept on was Been That Way. Been This Way. Baby, it's been that way. That song, I really like that record. That's the song that made me know who he was.
Right.
And I was like, man, I remember being in the car with my cousin. We were riding. It came on, and he played it for me. And I was like, man, this dude is dope.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, the next year,
out of here.
he's out of here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I thought was dope about that too, man, is like Bryson came in on a mission, like just went stupid. I love the cosign from Chris. You know what I mean?
Sure.
For even taking the record.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because if you listen to Proof, it sounds like Bryson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just dope to see that happen. You know what I mean?
For sure.
People don't even really know that. You got to really be on YouTube searching and looking. But
that's impactful.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, Trap Soul album was one of those special albums, and I hope Bryson can come back with something that equally as good or better.
Same.
But coming out with that project, it just made a mark.
It made a mark
in that decade for sure. There's no way you can say that's not one of the best albums that came out in that decade.
I mean, he created a whole new genre, you know,
new style,
new genre. All these artists now really like mimicking like what he did, man. So shout out to Tiller.
Right, he sang good enough because he could sing.
Yeah,
and then he can rap pretty well.
Absolutely,
I don't say pretty well. He can rap really well. His sound was a unique sound. I would say you had guys like Drake. Drake kind of laid a foundation for similar to that sound. Right. And then, you know, I think Bryson is a more skillful singer than Drake is.
Absolutely.
And he was able to take that that same simplistic melody-driven thing and do his thing to it and make a unique thing. So, and Chris Brown being one of our GOATs, you know, he's like, we have to give it to him. Like,
absolutely.
There's no question. I know he's one of my favorite artists definitely of the new generation. And I'm saying new generation. He's been out 15, almost 20 years now. Right. But he's like one of the kings of R&B. Having an opportunity to work on those albums, like what keeps you motivated, I guess, going forward? Because we was talking about getting that first check. What kind of money did you make from those albums?
Well, at that point, I did, because of those songs, I did a publishing deal. Okay. So, you know, publishing, you get a lump sum of money, and you good, you know, to be able to just focus on music. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, with specifically, even with the Chris, it was a sample in it.
Gotcha.
You know, so like I said, it was a strategic move to use it and get Bryson's ear on it because that's what he was doing. So not a lot of bread, but
yeah. But you're making a living, and that's you got a
Absolutely.
publishing deal from that. Are you still in that deal? Or?
I'm actually in. Now I've done like 2 other deals since then. thank
Gotcha.
God.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Well, now you popping, so now
Right,
got a badge
absolutely.
growing.
And I've learned the game. I know the publishing game, and like I've been able to, maneuver through some situations.
In R&B, I know you've had a lot of other big hits in hip hop,
Right.
Crazy hits. In R&B, what would you say is your biggest hit?
My biggest one, man, I would have to say, "To My Bed" from Chris Brown.
Nice.
That was on the Heartbreak, on a Full Moon
Yeah,
album.
yeah,
That would
was-
have to be my biggest, because that record specifically went gold.
Yeah.
It's probably close to platinum now.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest one.
R&B
You know what I
joint.
mean? We have some radio joints that people are familiar with, but
course.
as far as
Like actually really doing the numbers?
yeah, doing numbers, that's the one.
Excellent.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm asking these questions to lead up. So you have, been successful as a producer, getting placements with major artists, and now you're making a living. And I'm asking you what you did with the money because I know so many producers over the years that has made a lot of money, and they don't have that money anymore because the business has changed so much.
Right.
And I can tell stories about guys I know from the '90s, even the early 2000s, and they was making $50,000 a track,
Right.
whatever, $100,000 a track, and they didn't make smart business moves outside because they thought that was going to keep going.
Right.
What is your motivation in terms of like, all right, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I got this publishing, and I'm still passionate about music, but how am I going to be able to sustain this, going to the next level, sustain this money,
Right,
you know what I mean, so
right.
that you can continue making music comfortably,
Absolutely.
at the same time, pivoting with your life.
So for me, man, I saw the pivot in music, right? So what I saw was that the song has always been important, but that became the only thing that was important, if that makes sense. Meaning the labels feel like they can get a beat from anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like the producers are recyclable, but all we care about is the song. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you would think I've done all these records and I should get certain calls back, and I don't. You know what I mean? And so what I saw was like, yo, I can't rely on this. If I got a dope record, it's gonna cut through. At the same time, I can't rely on people to call me because of what I've been able to accomplish. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was that, and then it was when I did my first publishing deal, I ran through like a lot of bread. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm with Chris, I'm taking women out on dates.
Yeah. Living it up.
Living it up, you know what I mean? Because we don't have that financial literacy and teaching to
Sure.
understand when you get some money what to do with it.
That's
So
right.
I saw how much money I spent, man, and by the grace of God, I was still okay.
Sure.
But I'm like, yo, I don't never, like, I did all this, I don't have nothing to show for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, my credit's still messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is stupid. So those two things, as far as, like, going through both of those, like, I'm like, I never want to be in a position to where I have to wait on anybody or I have to, you know what I'm saying?
Where you're relying
strictly on
please get this record placed, please
Yes.
do this so I can make this.
at all, or
Absolutely.
fulfilling my, you know what I mean, my publishing, because I do music because I love it. You
That's
know what
right.
I'm saying? So now I'm starting to feel like I gotta, you know what I mean?
Me is work.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's not funny, but it's, it reminds me, again, I never made it to the level I wanted to make it as an artist. I've had some, nominal success as an independent artist. But ultimately, what I get most fulfilled by is the impact that those songs have on people.
Right.
So, the few thousand people or the whatever that's heard the songs that love them, them reaching out to me saying, man, that song was special to me. I played it at my wedding, or I did this, I did
Wow.
that. Or them, when I do a show and they come and they singing the song back to me.
Right.
There's a level of fulfillment there.
Fulfillment, absolutely.
But that ain't paying the bills.
Right.
So I've always had to, I had a family, and I have 2 kids in college now, but growing up, they were younger. I never wanted them to to go without.
Absolutely.
So I would do, as a business guy, I would use some of my other talents to do whatever it took, right? Professionally, obviously above board. So, man, I worked at a cell phone store. I sold cars for a few years.
Right.
I left the car industry and went to the financial service business, and I made some money.
Right.
But it was fleeting too, but it kept me going.
Absolutely.
To where I can do
The music. Absolutely.
You know what
100%.
I mean? I would be throwing concerts. Man, I was like, you look at my resume, dude. I'm like, like if this is, I don't want to say it because I'll get canceled, but I had so many jobs.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
And but all for the music. You know what I mean? So like I was the guy who was. I would throw a concert. I would bring a big artist in, and I would open up for him. But it didn't matter to me.
Absolutely.
I get a look,
and I'm getting the bread.
and I'm getting the bread.
Absolutely.
As a business guy, so I would take that. Now I took some losses on that too.
100%.
But I was always looking at ways to sustain making money outside of the music money.
Absolutely.
That can help me. So, what are some of the things you have done to do that?
Yeah, man. So my first investment, like you said, man, I used my music capital to just, like you said, never have to rely on it. And I think because we love it so much, we're so engulfed in it.
Yeah.
And we don't even realize how much some of this stuff don't even make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like streaming is like a lot of this stuff really don't make sense, but because we love it so much, we just in it. And I'm like, I gotta get out of that. So first thing I did was I invested in gold. And so I linked up with my business manager now. Shout out to Horace. He's completely just changed my life. You know, he saw what I was doing, what I was trying to do, and he was just like, yo, let's build your financial portfolio step by step. And so I invested in gold, and what I did was I invested in the machinery that it takes to mine the gold. And from that, it was like a 1.5 year investment, and I got my return, and I got the interest, you know what I mean, back from the money I invested, and then I kept a portion in the company as well.
Sure.
He has a great relationship with the company, so they allowed me in.
Nice.
And that company is evaluated at like $50 million something dollars. So it's like not money I'm gonna see right this second, but over
dividends
time,
will produce dividends.
Absolutely. So that was that. I did a couple like real estate flips, whatever. They didn't really work out as well, but it got me interested into doing it. So I left that alone at that time, and then what did I do next? Oh, next was that next? Well, the restaurant was next.
Nice.
So now I own a restaurant called Spice House Buckhead.
Awesome.
It's in Buckhead in Atlanta.
Awesome. That's premium. You're in Buckhead.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an amazing location, man. Again, my business manager introduced me to my business partner, LJ. LJ actually owns all the Spice Houses. So there's a Spice House in Midtown, there's a Spice House in Panola, there's another Spice House in Cascade.
Awesome.
And we met while he was Midtown was his location he opened up before we did Buckhead. So I went to Midtown, met him, had dinner, did the tasting. We just really vibed and kicked it. Next thing I know, I'm getting a call like, "Hey, LJ wants you to be a partner in the."
Wow.
Literally, I don't have no. I'm a producer, like you know what I mean,
Yeah.
And so he called me like, "Yo, how you feel about it?" I'm like, he's like, "I think this would be a great way for you to begin to expand." You know what I mean? And so, no question, I'm like, let's do it. You know what I'm saying?
So how long has that been?
So we've been open 2 years now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, 2 years now. We're doing amazing. Like it's really been an imprint in the city.
Sure.
Had everybody in there, man. So it's like it's
man,
got
congratulations on that.
I appreciate it, bro.
That's fantastic.
I appreciate it, man. And then next I did an investment in some land in Lithonia. It's 14 acres.
Nice.
And we bought the land to do a development there. Now we've had some bumps in the road. We might just sell.
Okay.
Like
And
do the lots,
Mm-hmm.
and then sell the lot. Sell the lots.
That's still gonna be a win.
Absolutely. because we've done, it's gonna be a win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a win.
That was that, and then now, man, it's just crazy, bro. Because I stepped out and because I got into the restaurant and real estate, I just started meeting so many different people, and so it's like, okay, you got a restaurant and you have the catalog and producer and Grammy, all that.
Yep.
I've been able to meet so many different type of people, and I met my guy Cassius, shout out to Cassius, who's a developer, black man.
Awesome.
Super successful, doing amazing. One of my friends introduced me to him. Comes by the restaurant, we're building, chopping it up, and he was like, yo, I got a bunch of projects, man. Like, let me know if you want to come in. Like, just that easy.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm so used to the music industry because we got so many gatekeepers who like control and be like, oh no, that's not good enough, or no, you can't come in here, or whatever the case is. A lot of stuff I had to go through.
Yeah.
And I'm in this field or whatever, and they like, yo, let's go. You know what I mean? So I met him, man. He told me about a couple things, but the one that piqued my interest is this West Midtown project. And we are developing a high rise.
Fantastic.
On the Beltline in Midtown.
Nice. So you're already in the process of this?
We're already in the process of it. Everything's been approved. Like, yeah. So I posted it on Instagram. I think a lot of people think I own it, but it's like we're developing it and we're selling it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's a great investment, a lot of money back on our return.
Absolutely.
And I'm just using this to go to the next one.
Man, that's fantastic. I love that. I'm a business guy. I always, I say that, and I don't really talk about all the things that I have my hands in,
right?
For a number of reasons. So this is a podcast. Obviously, everything is above board.
Absolutely.
But because of the spaces that I'm in, it's a lot of bureaucracy that goes in, and I don't necessarily want people to know that I'm involved.
Absolutely.
But I'm involved.
100%.
Yeah, but I'm involved with some serious things that's going on. I'm grateful that I've been able to learn. The spaces, right? So I mean, I have a business in the medical field. I have a real estate portfolio as well. I haven't gotten to that point, but
but we're gonna have to talk. I didn't even know. Yeah, we're gonna have to chop it up.
But I'm listening to you, and I'm like, these are things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but outside of that, it's all to me. I want to make money. I want to do business. But I always, the reason why I even started this podcast is because I love R&B music so much. I just love music in general, but R&B specifically. I want to get people to listen to R&B again. But the way the business is, we have to have some sort of business acumen to keep ourselves above board, afloat. Right? I'm just sick and tired of seeing broke R&B artists, legends, some of our legends, some of our most amazing, talented artists that put their heart, soul out on the table, and they are having a hard time paying their mortgage or whatever. So we didn't have the lessons that we have now.
Absolutely.
And this podcast specifically being about R&B, I love the fact that you were able to take the money you made in the music business and do some fantastic business deals.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, bro.
That's amazing.
I appreciate it.
I love it.
Yes, sir.
So in terms of, now, okay, we got, this almost turned into a business pod.
Right.
So it's like you have the developments, you have the restaurant, which we definitely need to go and taste it. What type of cuisine?
I call it Caribbean soul food cuisine. So my partner, he's Haitian.
Gotcha.
So that the menu really comes from like where he's from and everything like that.
Yeah.
Been able to
they can cook.
Add some twists and turns. I've been able to add my little sauce in it. And
absolutely.
I call it Caribbean cuisine. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? Rasta pasta, lamb chops. What's that big old fish? Snapper fish, you know what I mean? All that good stuff. Egg rolls. So yeah, we doing a little something.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, look, I'm from Louisiana. I'm gonna be the judge.
Absolutely.
No, that's fantastic, man.
Yes, sir.
So, any new projects, like what in terms of R&B, bringing back to the music?
Yeah.
Any new artists that you're working with that you're excited about?
Absolutely, man. That's been my whole focus is like at this point in my career, it's like strictly R&B and all the new artists or all the artists that are like on the cusp. You know what I'm saying? So, been tapped in, like did 3 records on Eric Ballinger. He's a legend though.
That dude's out of here.
He's out of here. That's my brother.
I have to get him on the pod. I feel like every episode he's been dropped.
Yeah.
By just me or any
somebody,
other guest as a
dope.
fan.
Yeah.
And then listening to how impactful he's been. because he's one of those guys. I heard him on an interview some time ago. He's put out like 20-something albums.
Yeah, no, it's stupid. It's crazy.
Yeah, like something crazy.
Yeah, his catalog is nuts.
And it's really good.
Yes.
Like he got vocals for real. He's a great songwriter. He's in his own pocket, but respected by vocalists, respected by, by the hip hop, respected by, like he just got the swag.
He got everything.
Yeah.
I think Eric's like my favorite artist that I'm working with right now because like he just had a show here.
Yeah, last weekend, right?
Yeah. And he just like vocally, man, he's just out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like
and he's passionate.
He's passionate. You know what I mean? So I hate to put him on like because he's out of here. He's a legend in my book.
Yeah.
But he's independent and so a lot of people still don't really know it.
Man, shout out to the independent artists that still making music.
Yeah, he's running the game.
And continue to do it for sure. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a independent artist that for one has done what he's doing because as a writer he's placed on all the major Usher, Chris Brown, you name it, and then he's obviously if he wanted a deal he could have had it.
Absolutely.
So he's continuing to put out music, do shows. Man, shout out to Eric Brothers.
I mean, even the response for the show, it was crazy. Like I came to he had another show when he was on tour, sold it out, center stage,
crazy,
and then this show at the Roxy was just crazy. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Eric. Been working on him. Shout out to Tone Stiff. Been working on him.
Shout out to Tone.
Vito, my brother Vito.
Vito is dope. I've never met Vito yet. I would love to have him on the show. Vito is definitely a really dope singer. I think I don't want to fumble the single. He had a single a couple years ago, and it just felt like a R&B record from the '90s because he was talking about like respecting the woman or whatever it was.
I think it's You Got It, the R&B.
I think that's it.
Maybe
You Got
that
It.
one.
That's it. Yeah. And he was in the song. I remember him being like the lyrics. It was totally different from what everybody else was putting out. And I'm like, a lot of R&B artists have tampered with the integrity of what R&B really is supposed to be about. And this is love music. Man.
Absolutely.
Like this is about heartbreak. It's about about mending relationship. This is about celebrating love.
Right.
Everything is not about across the board right now. It's the temperature of the society right now. It's a lot of heartbreak.
Absolutely.
Or it's a lot of like, I don't need that dude. I don't need that woman.
Right.
I don't want this. And now it's so much divide. But R&B used to be a mending platform.
But you know why that is, bro? I feel the labels the labels.
It's by design.
They put the R&B against the rap like we were in competition. You know what I'm saying? So now you are these R&B singers and they're like talking about stuff rappers talk about.
That's right.
And it's like, that's not R&B.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like I remember every session I'm doing, like I'm hearing the P word every single. I'm like, bro, why we like let them talk about that?
Yeah.
Like it's such a different way we can say that.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
That's
or
right.
anything else for that matter.
Let's marinate it.
Let's marinate.
Hip hop is microwavable, right? It's definitely become that, and that's okay because it's like one dose. Okay, it's up, but then at some point you got to come down. R&B music is to me, like you said, Caribbean soul food. It's soul food. Like so, you need to take a little time when you playing those chords. I need you to feel the meat of this G major 7.
Right.
It is G minor.
Absolutely.
You to feel what that is. That's that sauce.
That's that sauce.
But guess what? We don't just put the sauce on it and throw it in the oven. We need to let that marinate.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? And then we put it in the oven.
Absolutely.
It's going to take maybe 45 minutes to an hour on 325 degrees.
Absolutely.
But when it come out, it's ready. You know what I'm saying?
Ready.
Versus it ain't microwavable like that. So we need to be able to, I think R&B music was what's missing in some of the R&B music because I'm starting to hear a resurgence. But in some of it is we're not hearing enough of that mood setting music that or should I say designing the mood for what we want it to be.
Absolutely.
Versus just this boom bam in and out. We need to I think the power of what we can do musically is get people back to really understanding love, they are really understanding relationship, commitment. No matter what it is that if you're about that, or even if you're about having fun, whatever it is, finding a way to tell those stories.
Absolutely.
That can enlighten. You know what I mean?
Right. 100%.
And then it can change the temperature of the society, I believe.
I agree 100%, bro. 100%, man. And it's a lot of great R&B out now. Like,
for sure.
Like they're killing it. I just think we just gotta, even culture, we have to make it important again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because artists, they can't do it by themselves.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's like when these artists have shows, we gotta sell them out. We gotta support. Like we gotta
support 'em.
make it happen, man. But yeah, man. Vito, Eric, Tone. I got joined on late Green new album. Working on Maida, working on of course Usher still, and Chris Brown and all those guys. But like all the young guys and young artists, and I'm finding guys on Instagram. I'm like, let's go, let's get
make
it,
some
man.
music.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Shout out Quintelli. He's a super dope new up on the rise
I
artist.
think someone sent me his Quintelli not long ago.
Yeah,
like sent something to me.
Yeah,
Like,
Telly, he's on the way. You know what I mean? So many other people I can't even, can't think of.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
you're just keeping your foot on the gas. And
absolutely.
Keeping your pulse, keeping the pulse going.
Because I say this too, bro. What I realized, man, even with the investments and being smart and setting up, like I made a lot of great money in music, but also getting to other things. I realized I like to have a song on the radio. Like, even as I was getting into like the entrepreneur world or investing and all that, and I'm like focused. I'm like, yo, I don't got nothing on the radio, bro. Like,
it's a level of fulfillment.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, let me get to it, man. So like, I realized that I had like a moment.
That's interesting that you saying that, because I remember when I called my producer about this show, I was like, I had just put out a single, and I'm excited about the record because I'm having all the success and these other things that I got my hands in.
Right.
But I'm like, I still want people to hear what's in me musically.
Absolutely.
I still want to just contribute. I don't have, like, at this point, I've never had a number one. I've never had a big record like that. But I've had great music that at least in my opinion, and I love it. And a lot of other people love it.
Right.
So I want to continue doing that.
Right.
And getting that, I get fulfilled.
Fulfillment, bro.
Because that's a part of who I am.
Absolutely.
As a musician.
Yeah. It just hit me one day. I'm like, okay, let me get back in the lab. So I got a few coming. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Just that fulfillment.
Well, we're excited to hear more from you, bro.
Yeah.
Maybe look, I'm gonna reach out to you. I might be able to get a record.
Let's do it, bro. No question, man. You feel me now? Bro.
Absolutely. That's what's up.
Absolutely.
Look, this is an ongoing conversation.
Yes, sir.
We talking Can We Talk? Listen, Can We Talk R&B? Shout out to my man Keyz for being on the show.
Yes, sir.
This is huge. God bless. See y'all next time.